In this video, we listen to clinical psychologist Dr Moena Opie talk about different ways to calm the nervous system. Dr Opie gives practical examples and advice on a range of techniques including breathing and tapping. We recommend watching this video when you have time to practice the different examples.
So the plan is that I am going to walk you through a few techniques that can be useful in helping pull in the parasympathetic nervous system and calming things down a little bit so we don't get stuck in that really unhelpful but very understandable cycle of having symptoms and having some anxiety based on those that cause everything to escalate. If you're experiencing POTS or a related condition, you are probably, unfortunately, very aware of all of the effects that an aroused nervous system can have on you. You know, those symptoms that do include heart palpitations, slight changes in our vision, changes in the distribution of where our blood is, shaking, all of those things. A lot of those we can't directly control. We can't choose to change our blood pressure. We can't choose to change where in our body our blood is pooling. But one thing that straddles the involuntary and the voluntary nervous system is our breathing. So although it can feel like almost insulting to suggest that changing your breathing can have an impact on these very real and very difficult symptoms you're having, in reality, breathing really is like the royal road to calming down your nervous system. Because our body is always trying to work out, is there a threat or isn't there a threat? It's really highly attuned to what's going on. And if we calm down our breathing, it really is like the control center thinks, oh, that's interesting. If breathing's nice and calm, maybe there isn't a problem. Let's just settle everything down so that we can get a good view of what's going on here. So it sounds like such an insignificant thing to do, but changing our breathing really is powerful. Now, this comes with the caveat that if your breathing can become a bit irregular as a result of your health condition, it can feel very uncomfortable to focus on breath. So I'm going to give the example of the breathing techniques because they really are so effective. But after that, we will also have a look at some other things that you can do that can also be helpful in calming down your nervous system that don't require you to focus on breathing if that's something that you find really difficult. Let's get started. And we're going to begin with having a go with those breathing techniques. Now, there are so many of these, so if these particular techniques don't suit you, do explore the internet and find out what works for you. But this is what I have found has been particularly helpful for me and for people that I've worked with. So I really like to start just getting nice and comfy, ideally having your feet flat on the floor, and start by taking a normal in-breath and a nice long out-breath through pursed lips until you completely empty. And then we breathe in again naturally through the nose and breathe out through pursed lips. Almost like you're blowing through a straw. And imagine that you could roll another straw along a table, but you wouldn't blow a candle out. Again, till you're completely empty. And we go again. Do this perhaps 4 times, breathing in. Maybe this time just consciously drop your shoulders and breathe out. I like to imagine any tension that's in my body is running out through my body, down my legs and into the ground. Really just letting it go. One more breath in, one more breath out. At this point, we're going to slip into even length breaths. In for 3, out for 3. In for 3, and out for 3. We keep that going And if it feels available to you, it's also really good to switch into nose-only breathing. So breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. Really keep those shoulders melting away. Using that out breath to let go of all of that tension, reminding your body you've heard its concern that you're overriding and resetting back to neutral, because you know that although you're uncomfortable, that you are safe and the intensity of this will resolve. And we can keep that going. If you want to, you can turn this into a bit of a meditation by counting your breaths, sort of breathing in, breathing out, counting number 1, breathing in, breathing out, counting number 2. When you get to 10, go back to 1. If you get distracted halfway through, just go back to number 1 again and keep that going until things have resolved a little bit. As I said, there are different ways of doing that. Some people like to hold their breath at the beginning and the end of their breathing, but I find that makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. The important things are that you make that breath really gentle. None of this breathing, if you can help it. We want to slip into gentle, calm breathing, and we want to be using the diaphragm. So the reason that I advise you to do that full out breath is that when you've completely emptied, the next in breath is always going to use your diaphragm. So you don't even need to think about it. And then finally, we've had a bit of research recently that suggests that breathing in and out of your nose exclusively is also more calming. Amazingly, we've got little receptors in our nasal hairs that are aware of that. And that's often a way to get them really settled. So do have a try with that. And it'll be wonderful if that is somewhat helpful in beginning to feel a little bit more in control of what your nervous system is doing. As I said, focusing on breathing is not available to everybody, particularly if they've really struggled with that. So some other options are to just take time to really focus on all of the senses around you. So try and stay lovely and fully focused and mindful of, for example, how it feels to be standing where you're standing, or just be aware of how it feels to sit where you are. Find something to touch and really tune into the sensations of that. And then perhaps take a minute to look around and choose a color. See if you can find 3 things in the room, perhaps that are blue, and take that time to really observe the blue of those items, to compare them, to notice which one is darker, which one you like the most. Take a minute to listen. See if you can tune into 3 different sounds in the room that you're in. If one of those is a natural sound, part of nature, all the better. The act of looking around and using your eyes as you explore is really helpful as well for regulating the nervous system. When we're very stressed, our focus is very narrowed. So if we're giving the message to our body that we're looking all around on our periphery, but in a calm, relaxed way, it's another message that all is well. If you've got anything to taste and anything that you can smell, really tuning into those senses is really good as well. A couple of other techniques that don't involve focusing on breathing that can be helpful. One is just to sit really quietly and put your hands on your lap. So imagine that these are on your lap now. And take a minute just to notice your thoughts as they show up. And this task is purely about thinking about, is my thought about something that's happening right now? In which case, put your hands in the center of your lap. Am I thinking about something in the future? If you are, put your hands towards your knees. And then also thinking, am I thinking about something in the past? In which case you bring your hands right up towards your tummy. And And if you set an alarm for 5 minutes or so and just really try and take a calm, observing look at what's going on, this can be quite a soothing technique as well. Another thing that can be useful for calming down the nervous system that doesn't have to involve breathing is a technique called tapping, or EFT, emotional freedom technique. It's a really interesting one to have a look at, and there are practitioners who specialize in this technique and apps and content on the internet you could have a look at. But it's quite easy to incorporate the main technique of tapping on different pressure points on the body. And research does show that doing this alone can reduce cortisol levels, can calm down the nervous system. So it's another one to have a go and see if it works for you. I'll show you the points. We always start and stop on a point called the karate chop spot. And as we tap here, if breathing is available to you, it can be really nice to continue that lovely breathing. Breathing out and imagining that you're releasing any tension that you're holding in your body, that you're releasing from the tapping as it runs out through your body and into the ground. So breathing in combination with this is great, but you don't have to. If you want to, you can just be tapping and perhaps say a word you'd like your body to hear, like calm. Then we move to tap on the corner of the eyebrow where it meets the bridge of the nose. You might like to say safe. We move to the other corner of the eyebrow, drop down onto the bony part here. Secure. We tap directly underneath the pupil of the eye. Safe. In Chinese medicine, this area relates to the digestive system. So this is a nice one to use if you perhaps experience any tension there. Side of the nose, again, as you tap, you can just visualize a lovely state of calm, peacefulness, and safety, and trust coming in. Then we tap underneath the nose. In Chinese medicine, this relates to the kidneys, so it's a lovely place to tap, to think about asking the adrenal glands to, with gratitude for their efforts to look after us, to perhaps ease off on things now. Then we tap on the dip for the chin. On the chest, like Tarzan. Under the arm at the back. And then we come back to tap on the side of the hand again. I know it seems quite extraordinary. When I first saw it, I was doubtful I'd be able to incorporate it into my evidence-based practice. But in fact, we do have that research to show that those spots can be particularly effective. And if you don't want to go through that whole routine, actually just tapping on any of those spots that feel helpful, any sense of tapping, and just sighing things out can be really helpful for calming down the nervous system. So do have and explore and see if you can find out what it is that works best for you. But I will urge you to keep looking so that you can find a technique that in those moments when it feels like everything is revving up, that you feel equipped to do something which you know tends to bring and settle your body back down.
In summary, there are lots of different resources available on the internet, and we recommend you doing your own research to find out what works best for you. These are tried, tested, and evidence-based methods that we do hope will help you. Persevere with these different techniques. They take practice to incorporate into your daily life, but really can have a positive impact. For further information, visit www.potsuk.org.